Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Atlanta, Georgia, it's time for High Velocity Radio.
Lee Cantor here, another episode of High Velocity Radio, and this is going to be a fun one. Today on the show, we have Alinka Rutkowska, and she is with Leaders Press. Welcome.
Thank you, Lee. Excited to be here.
Well, I'm excited to learn what you're up to. Tell us about Leaders Press. How are you serving folks?
What we do is we help entrepreneurs get their books done. So we basically interview them, ghostwrite the book, and launch it to a bestseller list and get it into bookstores. So
what's your backstory? How'd you get involved in this kind of work?
Well, I think that was my dream since I was a little girl, because when I was in primary school, I created a school newspaper. So that was the editorial part, and I would also distribute it and sell it. So that was the business part. And now this is what I'm doing, only, real life situation. So there was a school thing. Then I did work at multinational companies. So I have a corporate background, but I didn't find that particularly fulfilling at a certain point. So I took a leap of faith, left, and created Leaders Press.
So now the folks that you're helping, are they primarily business folks that are trying to get a book out, or do you do fiction as well?
Primarily business folks, but we also are able to help with fiction. That would be the launch. If we want to help an entrepreneur or a business person write the book or ghostwrite it for them, then that would have to be in the business area.
So now for folks out there who are business folks that are, maybe in the back of their mind, they're like, I always wanted to write a book. I feel like I could help more people if they knew more about what I knew and what I went through. Is that something you think that every entrepreneur, is that a must-have at this point, where you have to be able to have a book that kind of gives you that credibility and authority?
It's almost as if you don't have the book, you're disadvantaged. Because let's imagine a potential client considering working with two suppliers or consultants, and one of them is an author or a best-selling author, and the other one doesn't have a book. So if all the other factors are equal, I'm pretty sure they will choose the author because of the authority that it brings. And there are just many other ways that a book is useful. It's an enhanced business card. So imagine you're talking to somebody that you'd like to do business with, and you can either leave them your business card or you can give them your book. Like, how much more powerful will your introduction and presentation be when you're able to give them your book?
100%. I'm a big fan of this strategy, and I agree with you 100% that this is something that if you're serious about your business and growing your business, it becomes more of a must-have than a nice-to-have. Now, let's talk a little bit about the mechanics of this. We've established that, okay, you're a business person and you should have a book. So now how do you kind of know what is the right thing I should be writing about? What is the message that I should be trying to get across? Because if the goal of this is to give me authority and credibility, I can't just write anything. I have to write something that is aligned with my values. It has to kind of align with my skill set and kind of bring out my superpowers so that people understand why I'm different and why they should choose me.
Absolutely. You start by answering those questions. So you really want to make sure that your book fits into a genre that readers are already interested, and you want your book to stand out. So you want to give the reader a reason to pick your book and not the other ones on the bookshelf. That's the way you start. And once you have that, you have your unique selling proposition. So you created that for your business. Now you need to create it for your book. And from that place, we can go and you can do your outline and then start writing your book, or get interviewed to have it ghostwritten. But you start with imagining vividly where exactly the book will be on the bookshelf and why readers will pick yours.
Now, with the advent of online book selling and ebooks and audiobooks and things like that, is it really a bookshelf that people are going to put their book on, or is it going to be in an online capacity where I got to have a cover that at least gets people to pay attention to it?
It's a great question, and it depends. It depends on how you're going to publish your book. You can go the traditional way and try to find an agent, pitch your manuscript, and then the agent will try to sell the manuscript to a publisher. It's a long, long process. There are several pros, like you'll get in advance, but there are also several cons, such as small royalties and just super slow. So if you have 2 years on your hands, then you can do that. That will get your book into the bookstores. That's their main advantage. Then you can also self-publish your book. You can do everything yourself. You go to kdp.com, which is Amazon's dashboard, to publish any book, and you put it on the virtual bookshelf. You have zero traditional distribution, but you do have that power to do it. Obviously, if you don't know how to do it, it's probably going to be a poor end result, but it's good to know that you do have the power. And then the third option is the hybrid publishing model, which is what we do. We help entrepreneurs get the books out on Amazon and all the online platforms, and we make sure they are bestsellers. And through our distribution partnership with Simon Schuster, that is one of the largest publishers in the US, we're able to distribute books into physical bookstores. And there is some lead time because we need to respect the traditional publishing timelines, but it's much, much shorter than what happens when you're going through the traditional publishing process. So both.
So, what does it work? If I raise my hand and say, you know what, I want to work with Leaders Press. So what happens now?
All right. You'd probably go to our website and then you'll end up talking to one of our team members who will see if we're a good fit to work together. Because we won't write, on just absolutely anything. We do have some, ranges of topics and authors that we want to work with. But most of the time we get serious entrepreneurs, and it potentially is a good fit. Once we decide on what your goals are, what you want to achieve, do you want a lead generation book to grow your business? Do you want a legacy book like we did for the co-founder of DHL International for DHL's 50th anniversary? Do you want a book to increase your authority? So depending on your goals, on what type of bestseller list you want to hit, Amazon bestseller, Wall Street Journal bestseller, USA Today bestseller, whether you need help with the writing or not, how long you want your book to be, depending on all those things, we find the best solution for you. And then we get started. It starts with understanding what you want to achieve, and then it starts with that positioning that we described. So making sure your book fits in, stands out. Then we do the outline, then the writing, then the editing, then we publish it, launch it to bestseller, and then you can say you're a best-selling author and use it to grow your business, to increase your authority, to give it away when you meet somebody and you want to make a really great impression. And it's now part of your toolbox.
Now, is it reasonable to think that the investment I make with Leaders Press, I'm going to make back on the sales of the book, or is it going to be more likely that I will make the money back on the sales of my service or just getting more business?
Great question. Whenever you have a business and your book is tied to that business, the royalties will only be a fraction of the revenue that you're going to get from the book. So it's always the back end that will help you generate your ROI quickly. And that's why we like to work with the entrepreneurial types, because it's so tangible. You start using the book as a lead gen, you put it on Amazon so people are able to find you. We have our lead generation book called Outsource Your Book. And that's how the co-founder of DHL International found us, because it's impossible to reach out to him. He has so many gatekeepers. So he found us through the book. Our lead gen book really works as a lead gen. And then we did the book for him. And as a result, we were able to provide a great service for him. If you're looking to do a lead gen book, it's not just Amazon that acts as a search engine, right? And people are able to find you. You can also use it on your website to get people to opt in and then have a conversation with them. It's a great lead conversion tool as well, because imagine you have a person in front of you on a sales call and they've already read your book. You're already the authority in their eyes. Their only questions are about their specific situation. They won't be asking any, generic questions like, so what do you guys do? They already know. They read the book and you're the expert. So it's much easier to convert a reader to a customer than somebody who hasn't read the book.
So now, if that is my objective, a lead generation book that's going to help me close sales faster, do you have somebody on your team that with a marketing background that's helping me strategically go through that process, or is that on me as the author and the expert in my industry to know, okay, in order to move a person through my funnel, I got to answer these 12 questions. And so those become the chapters of the book. And then basically that's kind of my sales funnel is the book.
So that's a joint creation. The entrepreneur comes with their brain full of ideas, and our job is to get the best parts out, structure them, make sure it's attractive for the reader to read, and then to leave their email, click on the call to action, leave their email, and start working with the author. So we work together in order to make it the best book possible.
And then is it something that you give me assignments to go, okay, next week I need, 2,000 words for chapters 1 through 3? Or is it something that I just talk to your expert and they're kind of creative, they have a facilitated conversation with me and they're, either recording it and transcribing it and writing it down and then writing the book on my behalf? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so it's closer to the second option. Basically, you're going to get a message saying, next week, we'll be meeting, and these are the 12 questions we'd like you to think about. So then you come to the meeting, you already know what the questions are, you've given them some thought, and then you start answering them live. You're talking to your interviewer, and the interviewer asks you follow-up questions because, some things are so obvious to you as the expert, but not obvious at all to the reader. And the interviewer gives you a chance to deliver, a better product because they will ask questions that readers have, and you haven't even thought of that. And once we have that interview, that's all recorded and transcribed, that then goes to the writer, and the writer will write in your voice to produce a book that will be that you will be happy with and that will sound extremely well, and no matter what your English writing skill is.
And then like you mentioned that if I traditionally went to get an agent and get it published, like it could take 2 years plus, what is the timeline from me raising my hand and saying Leaders Press help me to getting a book on the bestseller list?
Mm-hmm. So if it's a super short book that's meant to be a lead gen book and we'll only launch it on Amazon, we're able to get you situated within 3 months. So the moment you come, sign on, then your book comes out in 3 months. If it's a big, fat industry standard book and we're looking to launch it into bookstores and on the USA Today or Wall Street Journal bestseller lists, we're looking at about 10 months here.
Wow. So it could be a fraction of the time a traditionally published book. And that there's no guarantee. Just because you write a book or have a pitch to an agent, you may never get a publisher to even go for, right?
Yeah, it's very rare that you will get admitted and accepted. And when you do, you might not even get an advance that you're hoping for. There are traditional publishers who will publish you. They don't give you an advance. You still have to go through this long process. You don't really have too much creative control. So you might not be able to have any say on your book cover, for example, or entire chapters will have to be rewritten. So, you really want to evaluate what you want to do for your book in terms of what the benefits will be once it's out, how fast you want it out. If you have a timely topic, you probably don't want to wait 2-3 years looking for an agent. You probably want it out. If you're a business person, I'm pretty sure you want to take things, take matters in your own hands and get it done as quickly and as productively as possible. So it's important to know your options.
So now, when people work with you, is there different levels of service? Like, say I don't want the ghostwriter. I want to try to write this myself, and I only want certain services. Is it kind of an all or nothing thing? It has to be a turnkey, or can I just buy services as I need them?
We have a couple packages. When you go to leaderspress.com, it's all there. We don't do menus like I want, write me one chapter, edit the other, and, launch half of the book. We do things that are requested. So our main thing is from idea to bestseller. But if there's a manuscript that's already written and the author comes in with their manuscript pretty much done, then we evaluate it. So we send it to our editors. We get an evaluation and a score of what we think we can do with it. If it meets our criteria, then we will invite the author to work with us. Alternatively, you can come in with an idea. We'll help you with the outline, and then you'll be doing the writing and checking in at specific time points, like you mentioned earlier. This scenario, we can do that as well. So it's our main offer. But if you already come in with the manuscript done, then we meet you where you are to help you deliver the best possible book.
And if somebody wants to learn more, have a more substantive conversation with you or somebody on your team, is there a website that explains? You mentioned the website earlier. What is the website URL?
The website is leaderspress.com. And if you'd like to find out what the best type of book for your goals is, we created a really neat quiz that you can do, and it takes 1 minute, and it's at leaderspress.com/discover. It will tell you whether you should write a short book or a long book, or launch online or launch in bookstores, all depending on your situation.
And then so it's leaders with an S press.com/discover. Great. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story today. You're doing such important work, and we appreciate you.
Thank you, Lee. So excited to be here today.
All right, this is Lee Cantor. We'll see you all next time on High Velocity Radio.